Bonamassa and Mannheim Steamroller.
Hey, Rubes, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest to learn more and enter today. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest.
It's a little warm in here.
Why don't you fan
yourself with these three $1 bills.
Yeah. Get the horseshoe out of your
Fool
butt.
and his money are soon parted. Thanks for the money. I don't know why you thought Boston was going to.
I said well, first of all, I allowed you to have the 5.5 points. They won the game. I told you Cleveland wasn't going to win last night. That's first and foremost.
It's a moral victory, I think.
Yeah. I don't think they care about that.
All right.
They had Celtics had a 21-point lead, and they welcome to the NBA.
$3
What do you do with those $3?
Buy
half a cup of coffee.
Maybe so.
That's about all you can get these days.
Maybe give it to charity.
Yeah,
to a registered charity.
Yeah.
Yesterday we started the show, and you kind of called me out and kind of embarrassed me a little bit when you mentioned that I wasn't at the meat sauce diaper party. And,
right.
Made me feel bad, man. I don't know if you knew this, but when I left the studio during that first break, I went to the bathroom and cried because I felt so bad. And so I thought, so we finished the show, and I thought, well, I should probably tell Mark how I feel about it. So when I went over to the Loop for the celebratory happy hour for Derek Lonnquist, my good, close personal friend who became the market manager here in Minneapolis, we had a litdo together over at the Loop, and so I thought I'd run into you there. And
no idea that was happening.
Well, what do you mean you didn't have any idea? Did you check your email?
Yeah,
there was a company,
I didn't see anything in there.
There was a company email, so I'm wondering why you weren't there.
Oh,
just kind of wondering.
How do you know who Derek is?
Oh, so you don't even know who?
I always love that one.
The boss here. I mean, he's the number one guy in Minneapolis now. He's the market manager here in Minneapolis.
And what was the occasion?
Well, he was hired he replaced my good close friend Craig Alexander.
Oh, he's taken over as the boss man.
Yes, and he took over, and we had a congratulatory. One of the top people from iHeart was here as well.
Oh, nice.
Chris Foley, she was here. I had an opportunity to meet her for the first time. Of course, I met with, and of course, you weren't there, and I was kind of wondering where you were.
Well, I'm just a part-time employee now, so.
Oh. Well, you've always kind of been a part-time employee.
I guess you have a point.
I always thought you were just good part-time.
No,
so I'm just kind of wondering,
I had no idea
why you were at one and scolded me for not being there, but then when there was another, you weren't there. Isn't that funny?
Because I'd say I was rather close to Sauce and to Kelly, and the whole Lambert family has meant a lot to me over the years, and that in itself, I'm very happy for him.
Okay.
I just,
All right.
But
just wondering.
Yeah, hope I answered your question.
Just wondering.
You cried. That's the funniest thing ever.
I was hurt.
You were. I called you out.
I looked for you at the company gathering. You weren't there for that one, so you kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, I do.
The ones you want to attend. Okay. So then when I pick and choose, then maybe you should.
Well, I'm just thinking of the guy who you spend most of your Friday nights with.
I spend too many Friday nights with him.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's not about him. It's about his beautiful wife.
Who do you think he's going to? Do you think you have a chance to be the godfather of his son?
I don't think so. Who
do you think's in the running for that?
I have no idea.
Cove?
No,
Hockey?
No, not Cove.
Well, they're all close on that morning show. Ben Lieber, maybe? How about Tommy Olson? He'd make a hell
Tommy
of
Olson.
Tommy Olson would not be.
He'd make a hell of a
Can his brother be the godfather?
Well, sure. I think
I would think Dov would be the logical choice. I would think. I don't know.
I was the godfather for my brother's second son.
No?
His first son, Jeff Cesario, comedian.
Oh, no kidding.
And I'm not for Jeff, really well liked by the Program Password fans here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
definitely. He's still memorable.
Yeah, we had a memorable performance here. So, Cesario, and then my sister and her husband are the godparents for Deuce, and my brother and his wife for baby brother Peter.
Yeah.
So, put it this way.
Yeah.
I made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Oh, okay.
So they became godfathers is what they did. So anyway,
kind of a nice honorary kind of thing. It's really
it is. Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, it's not most times it's not a legal obligation that if something were to happen to you.
I think
that you and your lovely bride that
something has happened to me. I'm nuts. I lost my mind.
You're certified,
but I still don't think that completely makes me unfit for a father. I've been accused of that before by emailers. They said that me having my children say those stupid things on the air, they're going to fail in life, and it's going to be all because of me, and I should take some time off to get some help, or at least help my kids.
Well, I think they're well on their way to establish themselves as fine citizens while you wallow in the latter years of your life.
Oh, someone just said part-time employee, but a full-time fraud.
I'm not going to argue with that. I can't argue with that.
Not going to argue with that. Where do you want to start today? Wild. Let's start with the Wild. They're kind of the headline. They continue to play at a level that I think is surprising, certainly me. I mean, maybe not surprising me now that we're almost at the 20-game point of the season, which is, a quarter of the season. It's that small sample size. 10 to B says in hockey, they usually say, and when you get to Thanksgiving, you kind of got an idea of what your club is like. We're a couple of weeks away from that. We're 12-3-3. Kaprizov has taken it to another level. He was always considered one of the better players in the league, certainly the best player on this team. And now I was looking at the numbers, and I could dial them up here if you wanted. But matter of fact, I will. I may as well. Maybe you saw these numbers, but they are very impressive for young Kirill
Kaprizov.
What it says here is he had 2 goals last night. He has 33 points. That's second in the NHL. He has 12 multi-point games. That leads the NHL. And he has 4 multi-goal games, tied for first in the NHL. He sets up his teammates. He exudes confidence with them. He's really blossomed into certainly, if he wasn't before, he's certainly considered now one of the best players in the National Hockey League.
Well, and I think there's always been this typical Minnesota sort of negativity when it comes to, he's not going to stick around here. We're not going to be able to resign him. He wants to go win a cup someplace because it's the cup, and he's not going to sign long term. And I think we're seeing what happens when your supporting cast is kind of maturing maybe at the same time, when the younger players are going along for the ride right now and getting better and better, as Ten has pointed out, in particular, the Matt Boldy's of the world, the Marco Rossi's of the world. You got Brock Faber, and you got, some goaltending. And I kind of go back to, I think about Bill Guerin during like State Fair time, and he'd be out at our booth and doing his long discussions about the team, and people going, okay, we've heard this before. This team's not going anywhere until they get the money, next year to kind of sign some real good free agents and bolster this roster. And he goes, no, I'm not accepting that at all. I mean, he had high standards for this team, and he's that kind of a personality. And certainly from a player standpoint, when he played the game and now as a GM for this team, he expects, excellence. And so, it's nice to see right now them get rewarded as a real team effort to see that happening, especially when they score first. And, getting a couple guys back last night certainly helped. Getting Rodin and Joel Eriksson-Ek back makes a big difference for this team. And now they continue this road trip. And you guys were talking about it earlier. This team they love playing on the road.
They have 8 road wins, and they have 18 away points. That's first in the NHL.
How about that? Yeah, so it's good. I mean, I think, when you look at the scope of where our Twin Cities sports scene is right now, I think Royce was writing about it a little bit earlier today, obviously the Vikings at 8-2, and the Wolves are the team that's kind of shaky right now in their own way, yet, we would have been very happy with their record, just a couple of years ago. Like, oh, wow, they're really in the mix of this thing. And we know we got a ton of games to go. And so it's nice to have the winter sports team, but the Wild in particular to kind of step up right now. I know they got a big game here. They're on the road this weekend, and they come back and play Winnipeg here Monday night.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's
it is
a big one, me boy.
I think I'll show up there.
The hated. Are you going
Guess
to
who they
the
got tomorrow night?
Edmonton Oilers.
Connor McDavid. is overrated.
Would you rather have Connor McDavid or Kirill Kaprizov?
For the first time ever, you could actually make an argument.
You could.
Against Connor McDavid, which just seems impossible. I think I'd still take McDavid.
Will you be at the Wild Winnipeg game?
I'm going to go. I have not been to a Wolves game yet this year, though, either. So
You haven't?
No, I honestly have not. I'm going to go Tuesday night. So I'm going to have back-to-back nights.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, I finally got opening in the schedule.
Swordfish at the Lexus Club? Or?
No.
No?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so, but...
No, I'm not planning on it. Closed circuit to my friends.
He's not planning on it, but you know what? If
The phone rings.
You're unbelievable.
I know, I really am. No, I'm just going to go.
We'll pause. We'll come back. We got more to get to. Tennebee's got... No, we don't do the keyword. We're bringing that back in a couple of weeks. But we'll take a break, come back with more with Rosie, Tennebe and the Common Man right here on The Fan.
Mark Rosen's appearance on the program is brought to you by your Greater Twin City Honda dealers.
And you doubted Dalton Connect. He connected last night. Is it connect or necked?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tennebe.
I just want to say tune in to Wild Wednesday each week for your chance to win tickets to see your Minnesota Wild in an upcoming game. Wild Wednesdays are presented by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795.
37 points, first rookie in Lakers history of 35 on 75% shooting, field goal percentage in a game. You doubted him.
No, not at all. When I was there for the opening game, when the Wolves looked
I thought you had
lackluster. What's that?
You just said you had
I've been to a home game.
Oh, okay.
I went to the opening game of the
and
season
you had to
in
pay
LA.
$200 for parking.
No, that was at the football game.
Oh, that was the football game.
Right. Parking there was just normal, whatever.
$35, $40.
I don't remember. Yeah, but they were talking about this kid in L.A. and he can shoot lights out. The Lakers are on a roll right now. Yeah, they're back.
I never doubted him.
So, yeah, the complexion of the Western Conference can change in a hurry, and the Lakers are certainly making some noise already.
If the Wolves would have started at 15-0, do you think you'd have been down to a couple of games or not?
I don't. It's just my schedule's been odd. No, I don't think so. No.
Because you've been accused of being a Johnny-come-lately. You know, hey, team's playing well. I'm there when they're not. Boy,
wait, what?
Nowhere to be seen.
You understand my history of covering this basketball team? Okay. How many games I've watched?
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a professional level, but just more on.
I watched. I went as a fan.
You did? Okay.
Watching. I don't know who was that guy eating Skittles all the time. Sauce and I used to laugh about it. The press row. Darko Milicic. Oh God, he was a treat.
Remember those days?
Oh, it was so bad.
Remember the days of the Luke Longleys and the Gerald Glasses and the Doug Wests?
Yeah. Sure. It got worse. Yeah. And then Ricky Rubio was supposed to be, the savior after the infamous draft. And then after waiting for him to come here for 5 years, whatever it was, he was going to save the team. And I loved Ricky. I mean, he was a really good kid and played about as well as he could play for this team. But
you ever notice that Ricky Rubio's eyes tend to be, you can help me weigh in on this, his eyes looked exactly like Kirk Cousins?
I don't understand the joke.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody in town, newspaper person.
Oh, a newspaper.
Did a story that said, have you ever noticed that Kirk Cousins and Ricky Rubio's eyes look exactly the same? I'm not making it up. I don't know. I've never studied a player's eyes and compared them to other players, but it was actually...
No, I haven't either. I would never think of those two the same.
You know what I noticed? I was staring at it, and Ricky Rubio's eyes look exactly like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
You can't deny it. Once you do take a look and they're side by side, their eyes do look, I guess, similar.
Well, they both can pass the ball.
Yeah, they sure can. I would say Ricky had a bit more mobility than Craig.
Definitely did. Yeah.
But
yeah, man, the Ricky Rubio years. Wow. What a time.
Think about this. Somebody just brought this up to me. I didn't even think about this. This came in the text message. The Connect kid.
Yeah.
You know what his jersey number is?
I do not.
4. Connect 4. You familiar with the game?
Yes.
Can't make it up.
No, I really can't. It's not spelled with the C, but it's
Skittles guy was Michael Beasley, not Darko, is what this person is saying.
Well,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, he might be right.
No, when you said Skittles, I thought of Marshawn Lynch.
Oh,
no. Skittles.
No, I'm talking about the Wolves, though. But Milicic was still, Beasley did eat the Skittles, but I think Milicic maybe dug into his stash there and had some himself, because he certainly wasn't interested. I don't remember who the coach was at that time. In the timeouts during the huddle, he was just kind of off in his own world.
When we, speaking of the Wolves, they lost 3 in a row, including 2 to the woebegone Trailblazers.
Mm-hmm.
And, patience or panic. I was panicking.
I
didn't think they were going to win another game all year. I declared that on these very areas. But I thought they would have. Did Sauce say the same thing?
Oh yeah, they're done basically.
Yeah.
He does that bit on Twitter all the time.
Yeah, he steals my material.
Yeah.
So I was done with the club. I thought I wasn't sure they'd win another game. You and many others told me it takes time to gel. Just calm down.
Right.
They bounced back and won 2 in a row. They beat Phoenix, and then they beat Sacramento in an OT. Do you believe they're gelling now? Can we now say they're gelling, or is that still going to be, if let's say the Wolves lose a couple of games that are considered winnable, is that excuse going to be trotted out? How long do we allow that excuse to be trotted out that, well, they're still gelling together. They're still gelling together. They still haven't learned to play together. The 2 new guys, DiVincenzo and Randall, Julius Randle. How long will we do? And maybe we won't have to say it again. Now, maybe they'll continue to win. Now they'll start playing more like they did last year, or are we still going to have? Because I don't.
This might be
I'm asking serious. I don't know.
I don't know if there's an answer. I don't know if Chris Finch can offer that answer. I mean, normally you start thinking around Christmas time is when teams start getting a little more serious about, the unofficial start to me of the NBA season. When you say that, and the Wolves do have a Christmas Day game, which shows you that they are finally being recognized as a contending type of team. I think they're playing the Mavericks, the hated Dallas Mavericks, that on Christmas Day. That's normally when you start going, oh, okay, let's start paying a little more attention. No, they have a lot of games, obviously, between now and then. They play at Toronto. They play at Toronto tomorrow night. I don't think they've won in Toronto maybe since the franchise started, and it's an unbelievable streak. They don't play there very often, but when they do play there, they never win. And then they go, guess what? Oh, they go to Boston on Sunday night. So they got at Toronto and at Boston before they come back home and play a hot Houston team right now. So, I mean, I think because Houston's off to a good start, they're 10-5. I think they're going to have their ups and downs. I think they'll probably figure some things out, and whatever we're going to see at some point around Christmas time, I think that's a good time to start judging, especially defensively, if this team is getting better and how the rotation that Finch is going to use, if he's going to expand his bench a little bit. I don't know. I don't see it.
Are you willing to declare right now on what's the date today? November 20th. Yeah. Are you willing to declare that the Boston-Minnesota game could be a preview of the NBA Finals?
No.
No?
Okay. No. Not at all. I think Boston is a great chance. Although they haven't been playing as well. But when you're the champs, it's hard.
Yeah.
They're still going to be.
You don't like Minnesota's chances, it sounds like.
I think it's going to be difficult. No, I mean, I don't think they're not picked to. I think they could still end up being one of those teams. I think they're just the complexion of the Western Conference changes so much from year to year, and Oklahoma City is awfully good. Obviously, Houston's playing better. Golden State has bounced back. The Lakers, I mean, that's the thing about those two teams were down and out last
everybody
year.
Else, they're deep.
Golden State and the Lakers were down and out last year. Now they're back.
Phoenix is good when Durant gets back. Tyus has added another element to that club.
It's not going to be easy just to get a top 6 spot in the West.
Let's pause. One more segment to go. It's the Common Man program with Tana and Mark Rosen here on the Fan. Joe Bonamassa.
Join the KFAN Power Trip Morning Show live on Black Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. at the Huntington Banks Rotunda at Mall of America. They'll be playing Initials game live for multiple grand prizes, including a trip and ticket bundle to see your favorite teams on the road, plus the ultimate Minnesota Sports Day on Black Friday. Get the full details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Turn on my mic, that'll help. I have a giveaway right now, as a matter of fact. We're going to give away a pair of tickets for the Wild. They'll be hosting the Predators on the 30th of this month. It's a Wild Wednesday here on The Fan. It's presented by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. They want to send you to the game. If you're the 11th caller at 1-800-320-5326, 1-800-320-5326, you'll get a pair of tickets to see the Wild versus the Predators, courtesy of the folks at Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. Have you heard any, is there anything buzz about the Twins sale or nothing at all? Not a thing.
No, or the Wolf sale.
What's that?
Or the Wolf sale.
Right.
Well, the Wolf sale's in, that's in arbitration or mediation.
That's going to take a while.
The paperwork's done.
Right.
And they've submitted it. Now, that could take you're right. It could take a couple of months before they make a decision. The Twins, nada. I mean, no, I think there's, some local people that are kicking the can down the road.
Oh, there are?
Yeah, but I don't know.
You want to mention some names?
No. Oh. I just don't know how serious, it all is when you're looking at that price tag and what your return is and really what you're getting out of it right now and the television situation and everything else. It feels like it's just going to be status quo. When you see the headline MLB, pair of Twins prospects placed on 40-man roster, that might be as good as it gets. I mean, this offseason, what else are they going to do? Sign another journeyman type of pitcher? You hope that, what's his name, Joe Ryan comes back and produces the kind of way that you thought he might before he got hurt last year, and then add to, the usual suspects with Bailey Ober and what's his name, our ace. Whose name escapes me at the moment?
Brad Radke.
Brad Radke, yeah. I don't know. I mean, you know me. I love baseball. I love the Twins, but I just cannot get excited with kind of another season of thinking of what's Carlos Correa going to go through, what's Byron Buxton going to go through, what's Royce Lewis going to go through. The three big hitters on this team and injury plagued, all of them basically one way or another. It's hard to get all pumped up about it when spring training opens in February. But maybe they'll change our minds.
Yeah, I think I saw a story that basically said...
And the ownership thing just adds to it.
If anything, it would be trades.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily... They're not going to go out and they're not going to sign a bunch of... free, not even... I don't even think Midland free agents. They're basically... Anything that they do will be with the current team they have, and then if they make a trade or two,
you're going to have to
they might do something like that.
Again, as other teams, just a complete unknown that's going to have to surface through the system or somehow that's going to end up being a player for this team.
Kevin O'Connell was on today, and again, I got to admit, I kind of...
You ate your lunch.
I was eating my... Well, here's the deal. Somebody, a friend of mine, who we text and talk more than most people know, he asked me the other day, said, question. When it comes to news not necessarily, their ability to coach, do you like a Mike Zimmer type or a KOC type? I got to admit, I like the Zimmer type because he never knew what to expect. He would be kind of grumpy, and he might be having a bad day, and he doesn't. He hated doing the media things. I think more than any coach. It seemed like he did. Anyways, maybe he loved it, but it didn't seem like he was big on. And then, he would get frustrated at times with the line of questioning. I mean, the one time it was when they were egging him on about not playing Kellen Mond, and his famous quote was, "I see him in practice."
Yeah, that was a great line.
And so, KOC is very affable, and he gives you a lot of, footballish type. I don't know how you would describe it, but he gives you, that coach speak, that modern coach speak about what they're doing. But Zim was one of those things like, well, let's see what he has to say today, especially coming off a loss. He could get really cranky.
Especially with his then arch nemesis, Chris Thomason of the St. Paul Press. I mean, Chris would, even after games, he'd put himself right in the first row, and that's his job, to ask the questions. And you could just feel Zimmer's blood pressure going up. And they just never, and I give Chris credit. He's with Denver now, and he's been covering the Broncos for quite a while, for a few years now. but he would just get under Zimmer's skin for just asking questions, and it end up being that kind of thing. I think Kevin O'Connell is at his best, and I've seen him in two different areas. Number one, I think his interview with PA that he does on Tuesdays is much different than his normal news conferences, number one. And what I really enjoy, I know I'm throwing in a plug for, our Fox 9 pregame show, but when Bursich, who knows a little bit about football, stands at the board with Kevin O'Connell and goes through a play or two, man, he really does break it down in layman's terms enough for you to really understand what went into the thinking behind that play. When you're just talking about it out in the air, you just really can't see all the moving parts. But when you're looking literally at the board and O'Connell's breaking this stuff down, you kind of go, damn, that's one play. And all these things had to happen in order for it to work. So I'm impressed with that. And I think he does a really good job of articulating that from a fan's perspective.
Jets, they fired Sal a couple of weeks ago. Now they fired their general manager. Right. There was there's a rumor that Ryan Grigson, who used to be here in Minnesota with the Vikings,
very likable guy.
He's a top candidate for the Jets GM job. Tweet goes on to say Grigson, a former NFL executive of the year. He's never had a losing season as a GM, played a vital role.
He didn't used to be with Minnesota. He is with Minnesota.
He is. I'm sorry.
He used to be a GM for the Colts.
Right, exactly. And played a vital role in the Vikings' resurgence. Brian Flores and Grigson are close and could be a tandem.
Well,
Your thoughts?
According to the Adam Schefters of the world, there could be 8 or 9 openings for head coaching jobs. I honestly don't know the status of B-Flo's lawsuit against, the NFL, that he didn't get a fair shake post the Miami situation and everything that went on down there, and how many, because, this just in, teams hold grudges. And I don't care how good you are and what your resume looks like, that could happen. And ultimately, of course, in the Jets case, it would be up to, their owner. Good luck with that, with Woody Johnson. It would be. I'm sure the Vikings would hate to lose Grigson, but that's just the way the world's supposed to work. They're supposed to, get opportunities to move up in the ranks and get jobs. So that the Grigson part certainly could happen. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. I was listening. You guys were talking about A-Rod earlier, and I was watching one of the commentators saying he is 100% convinced that A-Rod is hurt, that he's got a hamstring thing. He's not pushing off his leg. He can't throw the ball more than 10 yards. He can throw it, but you know what I mean, without any authority, that he's favoring the leg. And it's just a complete mess. Both New York teams are a mess.
I'd call them a hot mess.
Yeah, it is. And now the Giants have their own quarterback issues, where they've elevated DeVito to be the third. Now they're starting quarterback, and Daniel Jones, who they're paying $800 million to, is, now bench-ridden, third string, gone. He's going to end up with another team next year. So I don't know. I think I hope that, obviously selfishly, I think, Viking fans would love to see B-Flo stay here as long as possible. And they're going to try to pay him as the top, one of the top, if not the top, assistant coaches, coordinators in the league, to try to entice him to stay. Hasn't he made it
fairly clear he wants to coach again?
He does.
Be a head coach.
Yeah, he has made it very clear. And he deserves that opportunity.
So then maybe he leaves. If Grigson does indeed get the job, maybe if they work well together, maybe this could be.
Yeah, you got to have the right environment. You can't just take a job for the sake of taking a job. And one of the jobs you just look at right now and go, the Jets, I think, haven't had any success in decades and decades. What's wrong here? You can't. You want to be a head coach, but you want to have a situation where you have an opportunity to succeed. However you want to slice to describe that. I don't know if the Jets are. Well,
everybody seemed to tell me that all they were missing was a quarterback.
Yeah.
All they were missing was a quarterback. So
they get him.
Well, maybe that is all they're missing. So maybe that would be a great place for someone to land. I don't know.
Yeah. Where's A-Rod going to land? He's coming here.
I think he's going to retire.
He might. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what.
He didn't even sound real committal to coming back in 25 when they asked him. He said, "Yeah, maybe," or something like that. Yeah, but I think I will.
Shrugged the whole thing off. He's got enough. Obviously,
I don't know if he wants to go through it again. I mean, I think the whole idea was he was bitter in Green Bay because they drafted his heir apparent. And he was like, oh, really? You think I'm done, huh?
Yeah, I'll show you.
So then that was bad, and now it was like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else and win. My guess is, he won in 2010 the whole thing when they beat Pittsburgh. And since then, he'd been to, I think, 4 NFC Championship games, never got back to a big game. Before he was to retire, my guess is like any guy, wanted to get back one more time, get another shot at winning a second one. And he thought it was going to happen in New York. And then we know what happened last year right away. And then this year has just been a complete disaster for him and the Jets. And so at 41, maybe he just goes, you know what? Do I want to go through it again? I don't know. He could stay in New York and they try to run it back again, or he could try to go somewhere else. But I just don't know how much interest there is in Aaron Rodgers at this time. I don't know.
And then do you have him as a backup on your team? No. I mean,
he doesn't want to play as a backup.
No, he's not going to come into some situation.
It has nothing to do with you want him as a backup. He would not. I don't think in any way, shape, or form would he be a backup quarterback.
I'm anxious because I think Kwesi obviously has hit. Forget the draft. I mean, you don't want to forget the draft, but I mean, the draft notwithstanding. I mean, the signings of the 3 free agent linebackers of Grenard, Cashman, and Van Ginkel are all home runs for the Vikings, and I think they're going to have a lot more money to spend next year. J.J. McCarthy will be the quarterback. It's not to suggest that the Vikings aren't going to try to win a playoff game or two, because I think they're certainly capable of doing that. I think your Lions are going to the big game and winning the big game this year, but I think next year is the one that you point at and go, I'm anxious to see what Kwesi does, the free agent market. He's going to have a lot of money to spend, and we're going to have J.J. McCarthy as the starting quarterback next year. And Sam Darnold may very well end up, talking about quarterbacks, earning a nice paycheck with another team based on how he's been playing overall, which would be a big thing for him. But I don't see him coming back here next year.
This text message says, I'd take KOC 10 out of 10 times. Zimmer's attitude got extremely old. Love him in Dallas getting clobbered weekly. I'm not talking about as a coach. I'm just talking about for the
news conference,
the entertainment value of the news conference. For me,
he'd be a little snippy.
I loved that.
Yeah, he was definitely.
This one says, pay B-Flo enough so he doesn't leave. I don't think it's the money thing with these guys anymore at that
prestige.
Point. Yeah, he wants to be the boss. Yeah. He doesn't want, I'm sure he's fine being a defensive coordinator. It's not like, well, how much you're going to pay him? I mean, it's like you're not going to pay him like you do a head coach. And I don't think it's about the money. I think he wants to be a head coach.
All those guys want to, reach that level. If you're worth your salt and this is what you toil for all these years to become a head coach. If that's, not all of them work out, obviously, but. And he's getting paid a handsome. He loves it here. His family loves it here, but it doesn't mean he's not going to.
Yeah, my guess is he's made it clear. Last I thought I heard or saw or read that he wants to be head coach. They talk about the same thing with the kid with the Lions, the Ben Johnson guy.
Oh yeah, Ben Johnson's got.
And he could have had a job last year had he wanted one, but he said he wanted to. And I really don't blame him. It's not like if he doesn't take because he didn't take a job last year, he'll never get a head coaching offer again. No. He'll get one. He built that offense to a point where they were, play away from getting to the big game.
Right.
He knew everybody was coming back. He liked coaching for Dan Campbell. He likes that. Why wouldn't you say, I'm going to try this one more time? I built this offense, and I think I can take it to the next level, and I think I can win a world championship here. And if I do, then I can move on and be a head coach later on in my life.
There's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't necessarily have to win a world championship to get that head coaching job.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is they could go 0-16, he'd still get a head coaching job. But what I'm saying is he wants to win. Why would he want to build up an offense rather than just leave it for somebody else, walk away to go to a terrible team like the New York Jets and go, well, I'm going to probably go 3-14. No, I'm not suggesting he has to go to a Super Bowl to win again. He could get a head coaching job today. My point is, he wanted to see this through and win a Super Bowl with Detroit. Now, he might not, but that's what he wanted to do. Some coordinators choose to do that. Well, there'll be plenty of head coaching opportunities for Ben Johnson in the next year or two.
He can pick and choose it. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's what happened with Tony Dungy. He built the Tampa Bay team into a championship caliber team. Then they let him go, and John Gruden came in and won it.
That's exactly right.
And it was Dungy's team.
It was Dungy's
And then
team.
eventually, of course, he won it with Indy. But
So now Ben Johnson wouldn't have been led, but it's the same theory.
Yeah,
is
it
that
is. It
I
is.
built this thing. I want to see it through.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure every guy on that team, everybody in that organization felt that there was a pretty empty feeling and devastated. We were right there. We had that game won and we lost it. And so the old running it back, and I think that's exactly what they wanted to do there. They play the Bears. Do you think the difference in the game will be the type of cleats the Vikings bring to the game? Because that's always the lead story, it seems like, is the grass in Chicago, they grow it longer. They want to slow the game down. They want to slow JJ down. If you grow the grass ankle high, he's not going to be as fast.
It's tough to grow the grass between now and Sunday ankle high.
How do we know it's not already? How do we know it's not already near that?
They played there last week against the Packers.
You throw a little fertilizer down. You could bring in some new sod that's already long. There's a lot of things you can do, Mark.
There's a lot of things they can do. It's been a house of horrors at times for the Vikings, but it's fun. I was driving around with it this morning, and I was listening to Nordo did a great job of putting together, like down memory lane we go, the Skull stories of all the games the Vikings have played, the pluses and the minuses, and playing back a lot of those agonizing moments and some of the high moments that they've had at Soldier Field. And it does seem to be always one gut punch or else just a euphoric sort of feeling out there. But, I expect this to be another. I mean, why would it change? I mean, it's the Vikings are 3-point favorites. This is not going to be any easy walk in the park for them. I mean, some people I think, not a lot. Some people think that it's
a lot of people are thinking
that it could be a rout. I'm going, why would the Vikings all of a sudden rout a team? And especially the Bears, who really should have 2 more wins, based on the Hail Mary and the blocked field goal. They've played well enough to have it. Are they discouraged to the point, of like, it's just, if we get behind, we're just going to mail it in. Caleb Williams is obviously a work in progress, but there's always, they got a good defense. They'll be pesky, and the Vikings haven't been steamrolling anybody. So
you brought up Williams, and for me, that's the difference in the game is that the Vikings defense has played very well all season long, and they've perplexed a lot of quarterbacks, right? And there'd be no reason to believe that, and I know Caleb Williams is considered, generational talent, but he's still young.
Right.
My guess would be he'll have his hands full against B-Flo's defense. So I will say, just because of that,
I agree.
I don't know if the Vikings will score a lot of points. I mean, to me, I know it's hard to, just to whittle it down to 1 or 2 things, but I think as long as Darnold doesn't turn the ball over and the defense plays that they're capable of, I think they'll be able to confuse the new kid, the Bears quarterback, enough where they'll the Vikings should win the game. I would be surprised if they did. I won't be shocked if they don't win, but I'd be surprised if they lost. I think they'll win.
You got to kick the Bears when they're down, and they're down right now. They're 4-6, although they've won. The fact that they were 4-6 is pretty. They could easily be the other way around. They look like the NFC North was going to be the most competitive division in football, and now it to a certain extent it is, because if you look at the AFC, there's. You got Cleveland, which is terrible. New England isn't very good. Jacksonville's awful, obviously. Vegas is awful. So, and then you get the Giants, who are awful, and Carolina's awful. Maybe the NFC West, from top to bottom, with Arizona, the Rams, San Francisco, and Seattle might be right now I think they are probably the most competitive division in football, because Seattle can still feel like they can win that, after beating San Francisco. And they got Arizona this week. They got a chance to win that, steal that division, and with how are they doing this? I think the Bears are still, in that conversation, not going away, and the fan base is incredibly frustrated. I have enough friends in Chicago; they're just tearing their hair out watching this team play. It's just maddening for them.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Oh my God.
You and Karn going to the game this week, or
no? We're going to be here.
You're going to be here.
I'll be here. Yeah, I'm not going to Chicago.
When was the last time you saw Kevin Warren?
It's my wedding.
Oh,
that's probably it. Yeah, it was his birthday this past week too, and I don't think he's been returning too many text messages lately.
Maybe
he's got his hands full.
Oh, is it your birthday?
My birthday was last week.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't realize that.
That's fine with me.
How old are you now?
Old enough to know better. I'm still here at 2 o'clock 3 days a week.
I would say you look like you were when you were 45.
I feel that way.
Look strong.
Funny stuff. Yeah.
I think you are. Maybe Kevin will come up for the
Monday night game?
For the Monday night game. And
possibly, yeah, he probably will.
Why don't you have him come up and come and sit in the studio with us?
I would love to.
Why don't you have him come in? And I'll just sit back and let you two go at it. I'd love to do it.
He could absolutely fill an hour very easily.
The next commissioner of the NFL.
Yeah, why don't you bring him in?
He will be.
See if you can arrange it, would you?
Okay, I'll work on it.
I'll see you tomorrow at 2.
Yes, sir.
Tenby, thanks for
Expressway.
Hey, great job.
Thanks, Tenby. Appreciate that. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. Stick around. Big Ticket and JG are next. Enjoy the rest of your day, me boys.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.